personally experienced a union leader who, even on his deathbed, was worried about workers not getting re-employed. One of the key leaders then said that, hey, you know what? Company, might as well you don't give any increment. Save the money. Better still, right?
Yeah.
Rather than give what you wanted to give. Stood up and walked out together with the entire team.
Welcome to Working the Ground, a podcast series where we talk about the issues, but more importantly, the stories about the labour movement. I'm Shane, your host. Today we have Hafiz as our guest. So, Hafiz, would you like to share a bit more about yourself?
I'm an industrial relations officer.
Okay.
I've been with NTUC for about 13 years. So industrial relations officer, or IRO for short, we are basically resource personnel that are seconded to the different unions in Singapore. And essentially we provide the support for the unions, right? Many of these union leaders are full-time workers and they volunteer their own personal time to be leaders. So we are there to be their resource personnel. We join them in negotiations, engaging the ground, running the daily union activities, handling cases. Really their day-to-day. In whatever way we can support them, we support them.
Got it. Is there a particular part where, or a particular thing that you mentioned out of all the lists that you had just now, where you think that it's really like a huge challenge to overcome?
It's an ongoing challenge. I mean, end of the day, if you're working with people, you're working with emotions, right? I think on a national scale, when we talk about, say, unions and labour movement, it's always fight for the best, and all that. But, the best outcome, by definition, to us is different because it's a negotiated outcome.
Right.
The system works because, end of the day, if you just put across what you want as the best outcome, it's going to break down, right? Negotiated outcome means both parties, in a sense, three parties to kind of sit down and agree that, okay, this is the outcome that's best for all of us. Okay. And then if you were to look at it, to the person who is affecting, they may not think it's the best outcome for them. Right? But like I said, humans have emotions, right? So you have to deal with that. Of course, when you do cases and do grievances, we are taught that when emotion is high, then logic is low. In a sense, you can't really appeal to a person logically and rationally if they are feeling very emotional about a topic, right? So these are kind of things that I think over the years you kind of realize and you have to work in to. It's not simply putting across saying that, okay, this makes sense and this is how to move forward with. At the times, you have to understand that you're dealing with people.
Right. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Especially the part where you mentioned that emotions are high, logic is low. And I think even in the workplace, for example, I think this is a very good principle to abide by. If you could share maybe like one example of something that maybe kind of worked out, or you very well managed to manage someone emotionally, but at the same time communicate the outcome to them.
Yeah, so exactly that. In fact, I think to employees, they will get a letter or say an announcement. The company say that okay, the company and union have ended negotiations and this is the, say for example, the bonus or the annual increment for the year. But back end, loads of things happen, right? Okay, I would have to say that not all negotiations are so action-packed. Okay. I mean, end of the day, sometimes there are smooth negotiations and all as well. But one particular incident come to mind, and I thought that was maybe something I can share. So again, one of my younger days as an IRO, most of the negotiations are led by the key leaders of the union. Okay. And of course, you have key management sitting across the table as well. And then the moment we sat down, management started with a presentation on the current business landscape and company performance, and it was pitched across as a very cautious, maybe we didn't deal so well sort of tone. So in the back of the minds is that, okay, they're going to probably lowball a number, right? And true enough, that was what happened. Okay. As an IRO, I give respect to the leaders, right? I mean, they are the ones who are forefronting and running the negotiations as well. And I remember at that point in time, one of the key leaders then said that, hey, you know what? Company, might as well you don't give any increment. Save the money. Better still, right? Rather than give what you wanted to give. Stood up and walked out together with the entire team. And here I was still there fumbling my laptop, closing it, taking out the power cable with the entire management stand and just staring at me. The room is like cricket silence and you just hear me packing up and then slowly packing my bag and then going out. And then I went out and I told them that, hey bros, next time maybe give me a bit of a heads up or something.
Right. But what happened after that?
The signal went through, right? It's basically the fact that, when you sit at the negotiation table, come with a fair and a number that we can negotiate on. The union leaders are people with very high conviction. They definitely want best for the members, but at the same time, you also need to respect them and the work that they do. So that really showed me, how much what's the term, gumption they have in
the iron
negotiation.
in them. Is that what they call the union blood?
Different people, different styles. I mean, the type of leaders are also evolving, right? Today, we have PMEs and executives who are also stepping up to be leaders, and I think the style of negotiations are also very different, as opposed to what we call the born and bred union leaders who are from the ground up and they built themselves. So you see many different styles of it as well. But end of the day, I think the heart is always there to lead across and to really get what is the best that they can.
Right. This is indeed testament to what you mentioned. I think there's a lot of things that beneath what everyone else sees. It's not visible, but wow, there's actually so many things that happen. Thanks for sharing. You mentioned also about how all the different parties have to sit together. So what is one thing that people may not know about what you do? Because I think this kind of three people sit down together, to an outside person, they really may not know that this is happening at all. Is this one part that you think people don't know about your job? Or?
But that's exactly the point. Okay. What happens is what people don't know.
Okay.
There's a saying that, in a sense, no news equals to good news.
Okay.
That means no news about layouts or retrenchments, no news about people coming to social media to say that I'm treated unfairly, no news about people going to say mass going to MPS and making all this noise. When there's no news, it means good news. That means good work has been done. Got it. So that's the irony of it. Right?
I think the phrase of the day is no news is good news. Okay. So, I mean, you have shared a lot. You have been in the labour movement for, 13 years?
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what is a good job nowadays?
I think the definition has evolved by quite a bit.
Right.
Gone are the days where people are working to put food on the table. You know what I mean? So I think today, good job would cover many things like good pay, good progression track, company that invests in its people in terms of skills upgrading and ensuring employability, as well as some interesting, I think, expectations like people would want job security, but at the same time, the ability to move and be mobile, right? To find other jobs, right? So they want the company to keep them, but they would want the ability to move.
They want everything, right?
They would want, this is very important now today. I think they want what I would say a safety and security at work. That means don't get exploited. At the same time, the environment is good for physical, mental health. It's safe for you to work at and all. So I think that all these kind of come in to define what is a good job today.
And I mean, I agree with you. So what's the next thing that is keeping you going?
What keeps me going is the fact that this is a job that I believe never ends. You will never come to a point to say that, okay, as a labour movement, we are done. We have come to the place where we want to be, right? That's never the case, right?
Correct.
Ideal case scenarios will never happen. And it's today you may have a nice smooth situation, even at the unions, right? Where maybe company is doing well and there's no unhappiness on the ground, everyone's treated well. And then next thing you know, something happens, right? War happens. And before you even handle it, then the next situation comes up. And really that's really what keeps us going, right? Is the fact that you constantly are trying to adapt to change and kind of move ahead. As to what I look forward to, I think maybe is a happier answer. So May Day festivities, I think is something I really enjoy looking forward to. One is because it's a rare opportunity to be able to see all the union leaders, IR practitioners, NTUC staff and all at one place, like May Day rally, for example. And then you celebrate achievements in media awards. You look at different worker segments during the migrant worker celebrations, during Fiesta, where you enjoy with families and all. I think the entire month of May is always a very joyous, celebratory kind of a month where you really celebrate the labour movement, its successes, and you get to really meet all these people within the same circle.
For those who may not be so familiar, actually May Day is not just May Day for us.
Of course,
May Day, we have a rally, we come together and we celebrate what we've done for workers, but there's also a series of activities across the month to celebrate maybe different groups of workers, right? Yeah, so that's what you're looking forward to. Last question.
Sure.
If you could swap jobs with one person for a day, who would it be and why?
Ooh, interesting question. You know, I would actually want to swap jobs with my younger self.
Wow.
Okay, so let me tell you what. You know, the first few years as an IRO, maybe 1 to 3 years, right? It's one of those jobs that really takes you quite some time to really grasp. Right. Exposure to cases and of course industry knowledge and all that is one thing. That's something that you learn by exposure. But also your ability to then contribute back kind of changes the more senior you get.
Okay.
So what I mean by being able to meet my younger self is that with the current appreciation I have today of the industrial relations climate, the kind of expectations people have, the breadth of experiences that I've been exposed to and the knowledge that I've got, like want to go back to my younger self and be able to apply that.
Right.
To go back to a time where I was a bit more trying to still figure things out, trying to really see how best this kind of falls into place to be able to see the big picture. So I want to go back and kind of now, with the knowledge that I have now, to apply it then to see what kind of change and what kind of impact that would have created.
Right.
So that would be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't think of it that way.
There was a story, or rather personally I experienced a union leader who, even on his deathbed, was worried about workers not getting re-employed.
Wow.
When you are in the presence of such people, it really inspires you to and shows you what this is all about. Like, it is very hard for me to explain what it means by union blood. But when you go through these kind of experiences, then it kind of shows you that, So what has kept me going is really these people, by example, showing me what this is all about.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. It's also my first time hearing union blood. So what happens when you cut yourself? Right. Okay. Cool. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and thank you again, Hafiz, for sharing.
Thank you for having me as well.
Hey, hopefully we can get you back again for part 2. I think he has a lot of stories to share. So thank you for tuning in, and catch you guys on the next episode.